Beautiful Hands, Beautiful Life, an NLP script for nail-biting freedom. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to sink into a comfortable position as you prepare to discover the remarkable transformation that awaits when you finally free yourself from the old habit that no longer serves you. As you breathe in freedom and breathe out limitation, you might find yourself wondering how quickly your hands can begin to heal and your nails can start growing strong and beautiful. Have you ever watched a butterfly emerge from its chrysalis, leaving behind the confining shell that once seemed so natural and necessary? Well, that butterfly holds the secret to your own transformation from someone who bites their nails to someone who naturally protects and nurtures their hands. And I'm curious about which moment will mark the beginning of your own beautiful metamorphosis. There once was a person who had bitten their nails for so many years that they couldn't even remember how the habit began. Their fingers had become a source of embarrassment, hidden in pockets or clenched in fists during important moments. But one day something shifted. Instead of focusing on stopping the unwanted behavior, they began imagining how wonderful it would feel to have healthy, attractive nails that they could display with pride. The question isn't whether you've hidden your hands from others, but how ready you are to discover that transformation begins the moment you start focusing on what you want rather than what you're trying to avoid. You see, when you redirect your attention toward beautiful, healthy nails, you find that old urges naturally fade away because your unconscious mind already knows that what you focus on grows stronger and what you ignore gradually disappears. Some people struggle against habits for years, while others simply choose to grow beyond them. And you might wonder how it feels to realize that lasting change happens not through willpower alone, but through creating new neural pathways that make healthy choices feel automatic and natural. I'm not going to tell you to never think about your nails again, because true freedom from nail biting comes from developing such genuine care and appreciation for your hands that biting becomes as unthinkable as deliberately damaging something precious that belongs to you. Instead, imagine your hands as works of art in progress, deserving of the same gentle care and attention you would give to any treasure you value deeply. As you continue to absorb these ideas, notice how it feels to shift from seeing your nails as something to attack to viewing them as something to nurture and protect. That makes sense, doesn't it? The sooner you begin treating your hands with loving kindness, the sooner you discover that respect and care are far more powerful than criticism and control. I once heard about a master gardener who was asked how she grew such magnificent roses while her neighbor's garden remained bare and thorny. She smiled and said, "My neighbor spends all his time pulling weeds and fighting pests. I spend my time feeding the soil, watering gently, and admiring the beauty that's trying to emerge." The neighbor's garden stayed stuck in a cycle of struggle, while her garden bloomed magnificently because she focused on nurturing growth rather than battling problems. And isn't it interesting how the same principle applies to transforming any unwanted habit into something beautiful? Because your hands deserve the same loving attention that creates beautiful gardens, you'll find that developing new patterns of care and appreciation naturally crowds out old destructive behaviors, and that's perfectly fine. You may not be aware of it yet, but every time you consciously choose to do something kind for your hands instead of something harmful, you're building new neural pathways that make healthy choices easier and more automatic. Have you realized yet how much your hands do for you every single day? People who develop deep appreciation for their hands understand that these remarkable tools allow them to create, connect, communicate, and care for others in countless ways. A person can begin to see nail biting as completely incompatible with honoring the incredible gift of healthy, functional hands, can't they? Let me ask you this. Imagine looking down at your hands and feeling genuine pride and appreciation instead of embarrassment or shame. Now, instead of focusing on the old habit you want to eliminate, you begin developing new rituals of hand care that feel nurturing and enjoyable. Perhaps applying moisturizer while appreciating how your skin feels, or gently filing your nails while marveling at how they grow and strengthen each day. The sooner you make hand care a pleasurable daily ritual, the sooner you transform from someone who unconsciously damages their nails into someone who consciously nurtures beautiful, healthy hands. When you train your mind to associate your hands with care rather than stress relief, you activate new patterns of behavior that feel completely natural and sustainable. Speaking of stress relief, isn't it fascinating how people who bite their nails often discover far more effective ways to manage tension once they become conscious of what they're really seeking? Your unconscious mind recognizes that nail biting was never really about your nails. It was about finding a way to cope with nervous energy, boredom, or emotional overwhelm. There's a story about a musician who realized that every time he felt anxious before a performance, he would unconsciously bite his nails until his fingertips were too sore to play properly. One day, his teacher suggested that instead of fighting the nervous energy, he could channel it into practicing gentle finger exercises that would actually improve his playing while keeping his hands occupied. The musician discovered that redirecting the same energy that once caused damage into something beneficial transformed both his performances and his relationship with his hands. Same energy, completely different outcome. You don't have to eliminate the underlying feelings that trigger nail biting when you realize that the same impulse can be redirected toward caring for your hands instead of harming them. I suggest, if that's okay with you, that you begin developing what I call hand awareness by taking a few moments each day to really look at your hands with appreciation and gratitude. Perhaps you might discover that this simple practice helps you notice the urge to bite before it becomes automatic, giving you the opportunity to choose a different response. You could, if you wanted to, keep your hands busy with a small stress ball, worry stone, or even just interlacing your fingers in a way that feels comforting and protective. As you continue building these new patterns, you might be wondering about the difference between forcing yourself to stop and naturally growing beyond the old habit. Here's an interesting thing about lasting change. It happens most easily when you fall in love with the vision of who you're becoming rather than fighting against who you used to be. You may find that focusing on the beauty and health you're creating makes the old destructive patterns simply fade away without struggle. Have you ever observed how a snake naturally sheds its old skin when it's ready for the next stage of growth? The snake doesn't struggle or force the process. It simply outgrows what no longer fits and emerges renewed and beautiful. Well, developing freedom from nail biting works the same way when you focus on growing into someone who naturally cherishes and protects their hands. Something tells me you're the kind of person who can embrace this gentle, natural approach to transformation. I'm getting the impression that you understand the power of replacing an unwanted habit with something that serves you better. Those who successfully stop biting their nails often discover that the same nervous energy that once caused damage can be channeled into creative activities, helpful gestures, or simply the pleasure of touching something with a nice texture. Wouldn't you agree that transformation feels much easier when you're moving towards something positive rather than just trying to avoid something negative? The question isn't whether you have enough willpower to stop biting your nails, but how quickly you'll develop such genuine love and respect for your hands that harming them becomes completely unthinkable. As you practice seeing your hands as precious gifts worthy of care, as you train yourself to notice and redirect nervous energy before it becomes destructive, and as you consciously choose nurturing activities whenever you feel the old urge, you create an unshakable foundation for beautiful, healthy nails. Let me tell you about a wise woman who gave this advice to someone struggling with nail biting. Don't try to stop doing something bad for your hands. Start doing something wonderful for them instead. She explained that when you fill your time and attention with positive hand care activities, there's simply no room left for destructive behaviors to take hold. By the way, have you considered how beautiful your nails will look as they grow strong and healthy over the coming weeks and months? People who visualize their desired outcome often find that their unconscious mind begins working automatically to make that vision a reality. It's not necessary to perfectly control every impulse to succeed. Simply maintaining a clear picture of the beautiful hands you're creating naturally guides your choices in the right direction. On another note, isn't it remarkable how people with healthy nails seem to carry themselves with a different kind of confidence? They gesture freely, shake hands without embarrassment, and touch things without shame about how their hands look. You already know what it feels like to have that kind of freedom. It's the natural state that emerges when your hands become a source of pride rather than embarrassment. That reminds me of a story about an artist who had bitten her nails for decades, believing she could never create beautiful things with damaged hands. One day, she decided to treat her hands like the precious tools they were, beginning each art session by gently massaging lotion into her fingers and admiring their ability to bring imagination to life. As her hands healed and her nails grew strong, her artwork became more beautiful than ever because she was finally treating her creative instruments with the respect they deserved. How does it feel knowing that your hands are capable of creating, healing, and expressing beauty in ways you may not have even discovered yet? When you approach your hands with wonder and appreciation rather than criticism and damage, you unlock their full potential to serve you in remarkable ways. I can sense that you're beginning to understand something profound about the nature of lasting habit change. It's not about fighting against old patterns with force and willpower. It's about falling so in love with the new version of yourself that the old behaviors simply have no place in your life anymore. Speaking to yourself, you might notice how much calmer and more centered you feel when your hands are engaged in something pleasant and nurturing rather than destructive. I wonder if you can imagine going through an entire day with your hands feeling soft, your nails looking healthy, and your confidence soaring because you know you've overcome something that once seemed impossible. Here's a powerful truth that many people never realize. The urge to bite your nails often contains valuable information about what your body and mind actually need in that moment. When you learn to pause and ask yourself, what am I really seeking right now? You often discover that what you truly want is comfort, stimulation, stress relief, or simply something to do with your hands. Let's shift gears for a moment and consider what it means to develop genuine self-compassion during this transformation process. You don't have to be perfect or never feel the old urge to be successful in creating beautiful nails. Sometimes the greatest progress comes from simply noticing the impulse and gently redirecting it towards something that serves you better. Even though changing deeply ingrained habits requires patience with yourself, you'll find that each moment of conscious choice builds momentum for even greater success. The sooner you begin celebrating small victories rather than criticizing occasional slips, the sooner you'll notice how naturally your new healthy patterns become your default way of caring for your hands. Because you're developing wisdom about true self-care, you're also learning to recognize the difference between momentary urges and lasting desires. What's it like when you remember that the temporary satisfaction of nail biting is nothing compared to the lasting joy of having beautiful, healthy hands that you can display with pride? That feeling of perspective and patience is your internal compass pointing toward lasting transformation. After you begin consistently choosing nurturing activities for your hands instead of destructive ones, you'll notice how much stronger and more attractive your nails become with each passing week. Quality nail care doesn't just improve how your hands look, it transforms how you feel about yourself and how confidently you move through the world. I'm telling myself to remember that the most successful people in overcoming nail biting often have the most compassionate approach to their own growth process, treating each day as an opportunity to practice new patterns rather than a test of their worthiness. You might find yourself discovering that being gentle with yourself while remaining committed to change creates the perfect balance of acceptance and motivation. As you practice these principles in your daily life, you may discover something wonderful. The self-care skills that help you nurture beautiful nails also enhance your ability to care for yourself in other areas of life. It's all connected, isn't it? The respect you develop for your hands becomes a model for respecting your entire body and treating yourself with the kindness you deserve. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have naturally beautiful hands that they obviously care for and appreciate? I'm curious about which of their habits you're already developing and which ones you'd like to adopt. Perhaps you might observe that these people share certain patterns. They keep their hands moisturized and clean. They're conscious of what they touch and how they touch it. They use their hands for creative and caring activities. And they never take for granted the amazing gift of healthy, functional hands. You already possess everything you need to develop beautiful, healthy nails that you can display with pride. The question isn't whether you're capable of this transformation, but how ready you are to embrace the daily practices of hand care and appreciation that make nail biting completely unnecessary. Wouldn't you agree that when you focus on creating something beautiful rather than just stopping something unwanted, you tap into a much more powerful source of motivation? Imagine yourself 1 month from today, looking down at hands you're genuinely proud of, with nails that are growing strong and healthy, feeling completely free from any urge to bite or pick at them. Picture yourself shaking hands confidently, gesturing freely during conversations, and touching things without any self-consciousness about how your hands look. How does it feel knowing that this transformation is not only possible, but already beginning as you commit to treating your hands with the love and respect they deserve? You might wonder how quickly these changes will become completely natural and automatic, and the answer is that positive shifts often begin immediately as your first conscious choice to nurture rather than damage creates new neural pathways that grow stronger with each repetition. Some people notice significant nail growth within weeks, while the deepest emotional transformation may unfold over months, and that's exactly as it should be. That reminds me of the ancient wisdom that says our bodies are constantly renewing themselves, creating new cells and healing old damage when we give them the opportunity. Isn't it amazing to realize that your nails are designed to grow strong and beautiful, and all you need to do is stop interfering with their natural healing process while providing them with loving care? The sooner you embrace your power to choose nurturing over damaging, appreciation over criticism, and care over unconscious destruction, the sooner you'll experience the freedom that comes from hands you can display with genuine pride. And as you close your eyes now and imagine your nails growing stronger each day, your hands becoming more beautiful with each week that passes, and your confidence soaring as you realize you've mastered something that once seemed impossible, you can feel excited about the incredible transformation that's already underway. Because you're committed to treating your hands with love and respect, you naturally develop habits that support their health and beauty. What would happen if you woke up tomorrow morning and your first instinct was to look at your hands with appreciation and gratitude rather than criticism or the urge to bite? That energy of loving self-care is already within you, ready to transform not just your nails, but your entire relationship with your body and self-worth. As you drift into a peaceful state of inner knowing, your unconscious mind continues processing these truths about self-care, respect, and the beautiful healing that happens when you choose to nurture rather than harm. You don't have to force anything or try too hard. Simply treating your hands as the precious gifts they are while staying committed to their health and beauty creates the perfect conditions for strong, attractive nails to grow naturally and your confidence to flourish along with them.